Ever wondered why certain relationships leave you feeling drained, belittled, or constantly on edge? Well, you're not alone. We're about to unravel a topic that's often brushed under the carpet but is crucial to our mental well-being: toxic relationships. These are relationships that, instead of nurturing us, end up causing harm, be it emotionally, psychologically, or even, in extreme cases, physically. And they're not just limited to romantic relationships. They can exist in different forms and settings, including familial relationships and friendships. So, what exactly defines a toxic relationship? It's not as clear-cut as you might think, and that's what makes them so difficult to identify and navigate. But don't worry, we're here to help you understand the intricacies of these relationships, how to spot them, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. So buckle up. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the different types of toxic relationships and their impacts. Toxic relationships are not confined to romance. They can occur within families and friendships too. Let's dive right in and start with romantic toxic relationships. These are often characterized by an imbalance of power, where one partner dominates or controls the other. This control can manifest in various forms, such as emotional manipulation, financial control, or even physical abuse. The dominated partner often feels trapped and unable to escape due to fear, financial dependence, or a misguided belief that they're in love. Next, let's discuss familial toxic relationships. These typically involve one or more family members who create a negative environment. This toxicity can stem from parents who are overly critical or neglectful, siblings who constantly belittle or bully, or even extended family members who exert undue influence or pressure. The family unit, which should be a source of support and love, becomes a source of stress and anxiety instead. Turning to friendships, toxic friendships often involve one friend taking advantage of the other, leaving the latter feeling used and undervalued. It could be a friend who always takes but never gives, one who constantly belittles or undermines you, or one who manipulates you for their own benefit. In these scenarios, the friendship becomes a source of negativity, rather than a mutual exchange of support and camaraderie. It's important to note that toxic relationships are not always overtly abusive or negative. They can also involve subtle manipulations, passive-aggressive behaviors, or consistent dismissal of your feelings and needs. While it's normal to experience disagreements or conflicts in any relationship, toxicity arises when these issues become chronic, causing emotional harm and affecting your overall well-being. Remember, recognizing the type of toxic relationship you're in is the first step towards addressing the issue. By understanding these dynamics, you can start to identify unhealthy patterns, set boundaries, and seek help if necessary. Now that we've identified the types, let's move on to understanding the signs of these toxic relationships. It's crucial to recognize the signs of a toxic relationship before it takes a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. A toxic relationship isn't always obvious. It can be a subtle poison, seeping into your life, gradually eroding your self-esteem and happiness. And often it's the relationships we value the most that can turn toxic, be it with a friend, a family member, or a romantic partner. One of the first signs of a toxic relationship is a persistent feeling of unease. You may constantly feel on edge or like you're walking on eggshells, always anticipating the next argument or bout of criticism. Another red flag is control and manipulation. If someone frequently dictates what you can and can't do, or manipulates you into doing things you're uncomfortable with, it's a sign of a toxic relationship. Toxic relationships are also often characterized by one-sidedness. If you find that you're always the one making sacrifices, while the other person takes without giving back, it's likely that the relationship is unbalanced and unhealthy. Then there's the issue of constant criticism. We're not talking about constructive feedback here, but rather, constant belittling and fault-finding that leaves you feeling inadequate and worthless. A toxic relationship can also lead to isolation. If a person in your life is constantly driving a wedge between you and your other loved ones, it's a sign that they're trying to control and manipulate you. Lastly, one of the most telling signs of a toxic relationship is its effect on your self-esteem. If a relationship leaves you feeling worthless, insecure, and doubting your self-worth, it's a clear indication that it's toxic. Remember, these signs might not always be overt. They could be subtle, slowly chipping away at your mental and emotional well-being. It's important to listen to your intuition, and if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Awareness is the first step. The next is understanding the effects of these relationships. The impacts of toxic relationships are far-reaching and can penetrate deep into our lives. Let's start with the physical impacts. Often, we underestimate how much our bodies can bear the brunt of emotional turmoil. Insomnia, loss of appetite, and even physical ailments like headaches and body aches are common in individuals ensnared in toxic relationships. Over time, these symptoms can escalate into chronic health problems like heart disease and high blood pressure. Then, we move on to the mental impacts. The constant stress and tension of a toxic relationship can contribute to anxiety and depression. One might find themselves constantly on edge, waiting for the next argument or harsh word. This constant state of worry and fear can lead to a debilitating mental health crisis. And let's not forget the emotional impacts. Toxic relationships can wreak havoc on one's self-esteem and sense of self-worth. They can make you question your judgment, your abilities, and even your worth as a person. Over time, this erodes confidence and can lead to a sense of hopelessness and despair. The impacts of toxic relationships don't stop at the individual level. They ripple out, affecting the people around us, our friends, colleagues, and even our children. They can strain other relationships, create hostile environments at work or school, and model unhealthy relationship dynamics for children. Moreover, the effects of toxic relationships can linger long after the relationship has ended. One might find it difficult to trust others, to form healthy relationships, or to believe in their own worth. These impacts are not just temporary setbacks. They can fundamentally change how we see ourselves and how we navigate the world. They can alter our perceptions, our behaviors, and our future relationships. Toxic relationships, therefore, are not just unpleasant or uncomfortable, they're harmful, with effects that can seep into every corner of one's life. But the good news is, recognizing these impacts is the first step towards prevention and healing. It's the first step towards reclaiming our lives and our well-being. Understanding the impacts, the question now is, how do we prevent them? Prevention is better than cure, especially when it comes to toxic relationships. As we journey through life, it's crucial to remember that we are the authors of our own narratives. We have the power to decide who gets to be part of our story. This is not about shutting people out, but about cultivating relationships that enrich our lives rather than drain us. So how can we prevent toxic relationships? The answer lies in two key principles: setting boundaries and maintaining self-worth. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, but about defining what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. It's about saying no when something doesn't feel right and standing up for ourselves when we are not being treated with respect. Remember, your boundaries are not negotiable. They are the fundamental guidelines for how you want to be treated. Maintaining self-worth, on the other hand, is about understanding and appreciating your value. Know that you are deserving of love, respect, and kindness. Never settle for less. If someone cannot see your worth, that is a reflection of them, not you. These principles are not foolproof. We all have blind spots and can fall into toxic patterns. But by practicing these principles, we are better equipped to navigate the complexities of relationships. So empower yourself, set your boundaries, know your worth, and always choose relationships that bring out the best in you. But what if you're already in a toxic relationship? How do you escape? Escaping from a toxic relationship is tough, but healing from it is a journey of its own. It's a journey filled with important steps, each one leading you closer to a healthier, happier you. Firstly, acknowledging the toxicity is crucial. It's not always easy to see, especially when you're in the thick of it, but acknowledging that a relationship is harmful is the first step towards escaping it. Secondly, set boundaries. This can be challenging, particularly if the toxic relationship is with a family member or a close friend, but it's essential. Define what you will and won't tolerate and stick to it. Thirdly, seek help. This can come in many forms, from trusted friends and family, to professional therapists and support groups. You're not alone in this journey, and there's strength in numbers. Now let's talk about healing. Healing is a process, and it's okay to take it one day at a time. It's okay to feel a range of emotions: sadness, anger, relief. These are all part of the process. Surround yourself with positive influences, people who lift you up and encourage you to grow. Invest in self-care. Whether that's a relaxing bath, a good book, or a long walk in nature, do things that make you feel good. And remember, it's okay to seek professional help. Therapists and counselors are trained to guide you through this process, and they can provide invaluable tools and strategies to aid your recovery. Remember, healing takes time, but every step you take towards it is a step towards a healthier, happier you.